Great. Thanks very much for that introduction, Anthony. Yeah, so as Anthony said, I'm Wendy Revell and I work at Caxton Legal. I work in the Elder Abuse Unit. I'm with the Seniors Financial Protection Service, as it says there. I'd like to begin actually by acknowledging the Indigenous people of the traditional custodians of the land which I'm currently on, which is the Jagera and Turrbal people. So this is just a quick outline of the service. It's quite a short presentation to try and cover everything, so I'm sorry if it's a bit jam-packed. So just to begin, Caxton's an independent, not-for-profit organisation providing free legal advice, information, social work services and referrals. So we're Queensland's oldest community legal centre. We rely on the assistance of over 200 volunteer lawyers. There's a myriad of services available through Caxton. And if you browse the website, there's numerous options for information. There's also a copy of the Queensland Law Handbook website where you can search for information in an easy to understand language. And you can see on the slide that it's down the bottom where it says online legal information. So that's quite useful. Other information is available by clicking these three bars up the top where it says menu. And once you click that, you get this view now, which is the this aqua colour. So up here it says how can we help, and if you click on that you get this drop down list here. So in this drop down list is my service, which is the financial protection service here, and in there you will see everything that I'm telling you now. So although it might be a bit jam-packed at this minute, you can go back and look at anything there, and the fact sheets are there for you to print out and give to anybody that you work with or for your own benefit, your benefit and your family's benefit. So just to speak specifically about the financial protection service, so the population of older persons in Queensland is growing, and as it says here, by 2020, Queenslanders aged over 60 and above are expected to represent, so this year, about a quarter of the population. And these people are living longer. So not only are there more of them, they're living longer. So as you can see, the numbers there of what we're expecting. So the Queensland government was concerned about this, and they were worried about the elder abuse that they were seeing. The service I represent is embedded into the Seniors Legal and Support Service. So this information about how many of us are going to be aged in the population, plus this government inquiry into the adequacy of financial protection for Queensland seniors, led to the initiation of the service I'm in. So the government wishes to raise the level of resilience in the future aged population. It's a statewide population. It's a statewide service for the population of Queensland. So they're wanting to raise resilience in people who are already in the aged area or who are moving toward that. So that's 40 years and above, which can sound young when you're thinking of older people, but that's the age they're thinking of. So they want us all to get ready, be prepared. So they've introduced me to have a chat with people about how to do that. So resilience means knowing how to cope in spite of setbacks, barriers or limited resources. So there will be limited resources and we will need to make sure that we're on top of all that, and there currently are. The way that the service works is by focusing on these particular areas: accommodation, money planning, retirement planning in terms of finances and accommodation, and loans guarantees, what to do about that, wills and future planning documents. So that's the areas that we're looking at. What I'm actually going to talk through mainly is a list of referral options, and as I say, this list is available on the website. I can also send through I have made an A4 copy so that it's easier to understand. So My Aged Care is the entry point for all aged care services in Queensland, and it's really good to go hard and go early. Basically register fairly quickly, because it's quite difficult once you're in a situation, either yourself or your loved ones, your older relatives perhaps, trying to get them into care or get them home services or to get anything happening, My Aged Care is the portal for all that. So that's the first place to go to. National Aged Care Advocacy Line can be helpful, and the financial literacy services. So there is a free financial literacy service if you're a National Seniors member. With this program that I do, I can offer free 1-year membership to the National Seniors, and then that will give you free membership to the financial counsellor. So you can ring up that person and ask about, your mortgage and your outgoings and your superannuation, and how to get prepared. Also, there is the financial information service with what we know as Centrelink, Department of Human Services. And it's important to get them involved as well, because your income impacts what you pay when you move into aged care services or try and get home help assistance. There's also our own services. So we have a Queensland Retirement Village and Parks Advice Service, or CurvePass. As I've said many times, I think it's like all the acronyms of all the letters left once you've done well in Scrabble. CurvePass. So they can actually assist you to navigate your way through if you get into trouble in retirement village or manufactured home park living. Those two things are different, retirement villages and manufactured home parks. So it's just important to know that manufactured home parks are what we would have called probably a caravan park. But these days that's not so. They don't, that they look very different. I have got a few slides later to show you that, what they might look like now. So again, accommodation planning, here's some other services, to have a look at. My Aged Care will conduct an ACAT. So the ACAT assessment is the first assessment that will happen before somebody goes into retirement living, or before the government gives money to assist somebody. They will assess what sort of assistance they need. And again, it's really good to get this happening early, because people are waiting a long time, and unfortunately sometimes they're, they pass away before their package comes through. So there's also the Council of the Ageing, there's National Seniors Ageing and Remaining at Home. So there's all sorts of options. ASIC Money Smart, this is a great website, ASIC Money Smart. It gives lots of calculators and ways to figure out, what your income and likely outcome of that would be for you. So there's also ACCC, the Home Care, Know Your Consumer Rights. So to know what you're expecting to get for what you're paying. And the Human Rights Commission, which is very important. At the moment, a lot of elder abuse is related to the Human Rights Commission. We're doing a lot of work trying to do better in that area. So here's just some little pictures that I've taken from the CurvePass site. So if you're thinking of retirement living options, we've got places that are all, look the same, and they may be independent living, you just don't know. So the reason I'm showing this slide is to just show that you can't always tell by the advertising of the people who are selling these services what they actually are. So this one in the middle is probably a manufactured home park home, meaning that it is transportable. So they do need to legally be transportable. But this home here on the right, which looks like it's on a concrete slab, may also be manufactured home park. Legally, it falls into this category. That's why I call it a manufactured home park, because legally that's the legal body that would cover it. But it may look like this. Now, this may structurally be portable, but it would cost you more than it's worth to actually to move it. So these are things to have a think about. And if you are looking at putting your relatives, moving your relatives into these places, you're looking for independent lifestyle, but the retirement villages have age restrictions, manufactured home parks don't. So, you could have somebody with a great interest in motorcycles and tattoos, which is fine, move in next to you and have parties and so forth. There are regulations, but there's things to be considered. So in retirement villages, you pay quite a high ingoing contribution, you pay ongoing fees, and then there's the cost of sale and reinstatement as you leave, and exit fees, which are approximately 25 to 40% of ingoing contribution. So it can be quite expensive. And there may be no co-located hire facilities to go to in that complex. Sometimes they say there is, but there's no guarantee of you going in there if there's no room. So these are things just to be wary of when you're thinking about this. There are retirement rental villages as well, and then there's the manufactured home parks or over 50s villages or lifestyle resorts. These are the names that are used. These are the ones that have to be mobile. So no costs and ongoing rent, no enforceable age restrictions, no regulations about buying. So these are just things to think about. There's also the granny flat option. It's very important when thinking about the granny flat option to have some legal documentation about the payment if you pay your children. Unfortunately, we find the highest incidence of elder abuse happens by firstly male children and then female children followed very quickly after that. So it's very important to get documentation if you're thinking of going into this sort of environment. It can also be very lovely at the beginning, but unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't stay like that. So just to have a think about that. So your co-living and family agreements. So there are documents that you can have a look at to guide you in terms of how to go forward. Also with granny flat living, there is a change in your income with Centrelink, which is really worth noting because that's sometimes not outlined and it can be quite challenging. There is also an 18-month wait period for the retirement village. They can keep your home without selling it for that long. So you've got to pay to go into higher care, plus you've got to, all your equity is kept in the retirement village. So in the retirement home. So you can be in trouble there. So here's another little list of, I won't just read them out because you can read them for yourself. And as I say, I can send them or I can send a copy of the PowerPoint. With money planning, here's another range of referral options for you. Again, we see the financial information from Centrelink or DHS. The literacy service, again, is good. National Seniors have a career planning section on their website. Your own accountant is always good. And Caxton Legal Centre has fact sheets talking about financial matters, fact sheets. So there's lots of advice there. And just moving on, it is good to find out what your Centrelink and superannuation income will be and learn about your taxation obligations. So to do some research prior to your retirement looming, people kind of often say, look, I'm just going to stay in my own home and they'll have to carry me out of here in a box. And unfortunately, that often does not happen. So it's really good having a think about, how to go forward. So the National Debt Hotline, although it says Debt Hotline, they're a really useful service. You don't have to have trouble or be in debt or be in danger of, losing income or anything like that. You can just give them a ring and they can guide you and help you. So they're very good. Superannuation, to get clear about how much superannuation you need and, where that superannuation is at the moment. I just think with the current climate, it's important just to note that taking money out of your superannuation does really impact your long-term outcomes. And it's really important to notice that. We have found research at the moment that a high proportion of the males who are taking their retirement superannuation out are spending it on gambling, unfortunately, at the moment. So it's just important to have a think about really, really clearly about what's going on. Then the women are taking their superannuation out and using it for the families and so forth to live on. So there's a bit of a concern around that. Your equity release, which is when you take money out of your mortgage, if you have a mortgage. Again, important to have a think about what happens long term, and here's some options for you to places to go to have a think about that, to get some more information. So as I say, I'm a referral point. I don't have a financial counsellor training, but I do have counselling training, and my details will be provided at the end. I'm very happy to talk to anybody about their planning and to lead you in the direction, or we can figure out together the direction to go into, or if you have elderly family that you are concerned about, very happy to talk. So part of my role is case management, so information and referral, which is why I have sat in the Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre. They very kindly let me be in there and talk to people coming in and out, because it's amazing how much people don't think about this. So again, credit and loans. If you have any loans going into your retirement, it's really important to have a think about that. And if you're thinking you're going to get a loan after you're retired, then you need to have a look at a few websites and have a talk with a few people about that, because that may not be possible. As I say, the ASIC Money Smart website is really, really good. And as it says, if in difficulty, tell your bank or credit providers straight away. It's really important to get help really quickly, because people will assist, and the banks are getting much more on board with this. So it's good to know that they are helping. They're certainly looking now at elder abuse and noticing any unusual transactions. So that's been very helpful. So yes, loans, guarantees and other agreements. Again, this is a lot of information. I do apologise, but I've just provided referral points and, points for discussion and for thinking about. It's really important to get legal advice when you are thinking about loans. We do see elderly people who continually loan money to family members or children. Another thing we do see is at this generation is women who've left all the thinking about money to the male in the family, to the husband generally. I have spoken to a woman who had to borrow money to pay for the funeral of her husband because she didn't know how to access the internet collection of information about her financial well-being, her way to get to her money. So these are all things that are worth having a think about. And with family, it's really important. Unfortunately, we do see difficulty, within families. So there's a whole raft of information there. To be very careful not to go guarantor for people unless you're very sure of what you're doing, all that sort of thing. So with wills, so it's important to have a will. It makes it difficult for the people left if you die intestate. With the privacy laws, it's very difficult for people to do anything. I will talk about enduring power of attorneys just on the last slide, but in terms of wills, that's after you've died, and you may have an enduring power of attorney of somebody you've given. For example, I might be working with a woman who's given her husband enduring power of attorney, and then she passes away. That enduring power of attorney is no longer viable. It doesn't work anymore. So it only works when the person's alive. And then once they die, her husband would probably have some ability to access her information because he's a next of kin. But if that enduring power of attorney was with a friend or somebody a little more removed, they would have no access to anything. They couldn't help at all, and they couldn't tell anybody what this person wanted to have happen. So it is important to have a will. You can get a free will done with the public trustee if you have your own executor. You can just go and use the public trustee to get your will done. Actually, you can get that done at the Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre, or you used to be able to. I'm not sure. You'd have to check with them. Also, the Queensland Law Society, you can find a private solicitor through them. So it is important to do that. The last slide here, well, there are a couple of other quick slides at the end, but the last one is about Advanced Healthcare Directive, Statement of Wishes and Enduring Power of Attorney documents. So it's very important to have these documents as you age. An Advanced Health Directive tells the medical professionals what you want to have happen to your body. A lot of people have in there that they don't want to be resuscitated. It's a quite lengthy document. You make a long appointment with your GP, you go in and you fill it out, so you can say exactly what you want. If you have an enduring power of attorney and you are no longer have capacity, so you can't say what you want to have happen for yourself, they can be guided by this document, so they don't have to guess. They can say, this is what the person said, this is what they want to have happen. So the enduring power of attorney is a document that comes into action when the person who it is about loses capacity. So you can have it written up, signed and ready to go. And then when if the person loses capacity, even if we were to become unwell or if you're overseas and had an accident, your family might like to have one of these to be able to manage your matters, your financial and care matters. So there is a list of options there. The enduring power of attorney can be done with the public trustee. There is a cost to that. You can do it yourself, although all legal people will tell you that's inadvisable. You can do it yourself and then contact the advanced care service, and that's in a previous slide, and they will check it for you. And they will. There it is, Office of Advanced Care Planning. They will check that for you if you send it to them. They'll also check the Advanced Care Health Directive, and they will lodge it with the likely hospital that you'll go to. It needs to be lodged where you're expecting to be treated, because the professionals need to have access to both those documents. There is an option. We are looking at options to have that electronically stored, but at the moment you have to have it hard copy. So just to finish up, that's my little end point. I can offer, as I say, free membership with National Seniors, and then you can use their financial literacy service, which is outlined there. I am available to talk to people one-to-one, to talk to groups, and I have lots of information and hard copy data that you're welcome to. I can post it out to you, or you can get it electronically. So you're welcome to speak to me about that. So thanks very much for your time. I will just leave some time if there's any questions. And thanks very much for listening. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Wendy. We really appreciate what you've said today. Very impressive that you managed to condense so much information into about a 20-minute presentation. I know you have...
Sorry.
Sorry?
I say perhaps too much. I'm sorry if that's the case.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. The more, the better. But people can definitely get in touch with you. You did mention the public trustee coming to Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre.
Yes.
Because of COVID, that's actually been put on hold for a while. The public trustee made that decision. So if anyone's interested in getting a free will done by the public trustee, or paying for the power of attorney and enduring power of attorney service, they can, they're still doing phone appointments. So you can visit pt.qld.gov.au, or you can call them on 1300 360 044, or just Google public trustee. So they are still doing it. They're just not doing it in person at the moment, which is understandable.
Absolutely, great. Thanks for clarifying that. Sure.
Okay, Wendy. We haven't had any questions come through, but maybe some of the attendees will contact you afterwards.
Good. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Wendy.